let's dig in. All right, if you are new here, welcome, and if not, then hey, hi my beautiful wings of peace. First things first, this is the last series for the past 4 videos that I've posted. It's like all comes together, right? Because I started to show you guys the difference between fear and faith, and then how we learn, where we learn what God is or who he is. And then we talked about conviction versus condemnation. And now we're going to sum all this up by learning to obey God from love and not from fear, okay? So with that being said, welcome. My name is Jessica. If you're new here, this is a faith-based channel where we just like to talk about all things God. If you have seen into my page, or if you've seen my name, have built a community, a lovely community, where we're just hovered over these wings of peace, right? And so I think when I think of wings of peace, I think of just calm and love and joy and peace, and that is what God brings, right? So as we build this community up together, as we do this in a way that honors God, I just want to say welcome. I want to give you guys a warm welcoming to this community and being a part of something that helps you to walk with God each and every single day. So my only goal here is ever to bring you closer and guide you in a way that is loving and honoring God, all right? Because we're here to walk in his obedience. We're here to walk in his love and his joy and his peace, right? So with that being said, like I said, today we're just going to talk about how to obey God out of love and not out of fear, right? Because let's be honest, sometimes I even think for those who have been living in survival mode for so long, and myself included, you almost feel like everything you do should come out of fear. Everything that you do should be very anxious and worrisome and doubtful, right? Because that's just the mode you've been accustomed to. That's your default mode, right? But unfortunately, we were programmed to have that default mode, because when we are born, when we have children, they don't know anything other than to be a child, right? They're just very, what is that word? They're very ignorant, which it's a very good way of being, you're just ignorant. They just have childlike faith. They're just very innocent. That's what I was actually looking forward to. But they're just innocent in this world, right? So they don't know anything, right? And it's our job as parents to let them stay in that innocence as long as possible, right? And unfortunately, when parents don't know or are not aware, may not just not know, they just might not be aware of how to nurture that innocence, things can happen, right? And as you guys know from my story, when I was 9 years old, I was unfortunately child abused, or I was sexually abused. I was sexually abused, and it just took my innocence. At that moment, my innocence was robbed. And so for 15 years, I lived in this complete darkness. I rebelled. I just hated the world. I even hated God for some part of that. And I just disobeyed, and I just did the most chaotic things ever, right? Until I learned that through all that, no matter what. And the thing about it was, when I was going through those moments, I still prayed. I still got on my knees in the shower and just started bawling my eyes out and was like, God, I don't know why this is happening, but I know this is for your glory and your victory. I just still, in the external world, I was just I hated it. I hated everything that came with it. But as we know, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for his glory, right? And so while I did know that, I didn't express it, and I just rebelled, and I hated the world. And so then, after 15 years of learning and accepting and renewing my mind and becoming closer and understanding and drawing to God and knowing his character, I surrendered it. And I've learned that not only did that experience help me to get deeper with God, so did my experience that came after, which was betrayal in my relationship. And as I've learned to go through this journey, I've learned that the most important part of it all is just stand still, be quiet, and not because those things are okay, but because you know that God is working through them. I will say part of my testimony, because this is something that, like I said, just the power of prayer. I've been so blessed, and it's just been an amazing journey to know that there was justice. You know, he does give, like when God says like do not rebel, do not like get angry, or do not revenge, right? Because vengeance is mine, right? And it is, like, as much as like I said, I'm not praising that this happened, but I am praising God because he made it happen, right? And so my abuser has been incarcerated for over 30 years now, right? And so won't God just do me beautiful things? And of course, I just pray that through those years that he's in there, he understands that what he did was not okay, and that even though he did it, God still loves him and wants a life and a relationship with him. Is just thankfully going to be away from me and my family because he's not welcomed here, right? Although I've learned to learn to forgive, and I've been praying, and sometimes I can feel this nudge to move forward and forgive completely by rebuilding something, you know, and I'm not sure how. I'm not there yet enough to know how to do that, or, you know, but I do believe that God will lead me when that time comes. So overall, though, I do want to give praise to God because, like I said, through that experience, I've learned what it means to truly walk with him in a peaceful way versus a fearful way. And so this is what we're going to dig into today. So my goal here is today that you become hopeful, right? That you have an empowering conclusion to move forward and just pursue this relationship with God because he loves you, right? He's coming out of love. It's not coming out of fear. And the beautiful thing about it is when you've learned to regulate your nervous system so much that you know that even if when it is going haywire, right, when you are like in those moments of anxiousness, right, you don't have to react or respond, but instead you stand still and you allow God to move forward. You don't move. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to indulge in the chaos. You don't have to respond. And it might take practice because I was there too. I was very angry, and so I would yell, and I would, you know, try my best to do it in my own understanding until I realized that if I just stand still, if I just be quiet, if I just listen to the voice of God and remove all the distractions and remove all the voices that are not of him, he will make it work out. And so my goal here is, like I said, just for you to empower and empower the love that he has given you, like for you to magnify that love through your experiences, right? And it's when we're going through those moments that we're being tested to know if we really do have the love of God or the joy and peace within us, right? So, and if you watched my last video, I spoke a little bit about how I had went through something myself where, like, even literally last week, where I had to be put in this place where, yes, that I want to respond, that I want to rebel and react from something that somebody did to me. However, it was in me to have to, like, I had to stand still. I had to learn to be quiet, and I had to learn to listen and wait for the voice of God, and, you know, let him do his thing instead of me trying to do it on my own understanding. So, like I said, we're just going to talk about the fear versus love, and then how we learn to perform for God instead of just authentically be, you know, and how healthy faith can include questions, and faith allows rest, and faith admits weaknesses, right? So let's get into it. So for a long time, I thought fear was what kept me obedient, right? I thought, okay, if I do this, if I do that, if I be this way, if I say this way, out of fear. I'm not doing it because I genuinely understood why I was doing it. I was just doing it because it just felt like it was the right thing to do, that it would keep me obedient, right? It would keep me still. And like I said, the thing about it is so close. Like, yes, you may be quiet and you may like suffer because of what somebody else is doing, but he's not just asking you to be quiet. He's asking you to trust him in that process. So you can be quiet, but it doesn't work if you're not trusting him. If you're just quiet for the mere fact that you just want to be quiet and you want to, like, somehow still do it in your own understanding, it's not going to work. But when you're quiet and you're trusting him and you keep going back and you're praying, especially when these thoughts and these anxious feelings come about and you're just like, you just want to rebel, you just want to react, right? However, you choose to pursue God instead of the situation. You choose to put your energy towards God. Either it's praise, worship, you might pray, you might just sit in stillness, whatever that case may be, right? You choose to honor him instead of giving your energy towards that thing. I worried that if I stopped being afraid of disappointing God, I would stop taking him seriously, right? So I thought every time I would, like, if I didn't fear the situation, then that means I'm in a way disappointing God. I'm in a way not doing what he's called me to do. But remember, he doesn't call you to be in anxiousness and fear and worry, right? Because we leave it all to him. I learned that through this whole journey that love didn't just make me care less about obedience. Love changed the reason why I obeyed. And how I did that was through learning what fear says, right? So fear will tell you, I obey so God will love me, right? Because we're asking of something. We're asking of love, right? We might be abandoned in a form, or we might have this void of love, right? However, love says, I obey because God loves me, right? Now we are having the authority of knowing that God loves us. We're not just, it's not a business transaction. We don't do this for he can do that. He already does that, so we do that. He already loves us. And this is why it's so important that you know his character, because he already loves us. He already asked you. He already gave you the life that you have because you are chosen, because he has chosen you to love you. And even despite of what you go through, despite of what you say, despite of who you are, and despite of what you've done, because he already chose that for you. It's a default character from him to choose to love you, right? So you don't just do things out of fear. You do them because he loves you. And I learned that fear says, if I make a mistake, God will leave me. But love really says, when I make a mistake, God is where I return, right? There's a verse in the Bible that says, God is close to the brokenhearted. He knows your heart, right? Through your heart is where your desires of your heart is where he rests on. So when you are in full mode repentance, when you fully, like when you're convicted and there's something in you that's telling you to move this way, that this has to change, that this has to, and this is a new way that you're going to live. It's going to come with love. It's going to come with conviction, not condemnation. Condemnation is going to tell you it's shameful, and he's going to tell you all the many reasons why it isn't you or it doesn't work out, right? But God doesn't do that. God is going to love you through it. This is where the enemy keeps us, right? It's just that part of the fear that keeps us into also understanding that the fear will tell us that I have to understand everything before I move. When love says, I trust God to guide me while I grow. He will nourish me. He will give me the water, the electrolytes. He will give me the nutrients that I need to go through things in life. And so for the 15 years that I was in darkness, from 9 to 22, I believe it was, I'm not fully aware, but for the 15 years that I was in darkness, I kept having to I had the mentality that if I have to know everything, I have to be for certain that God exists. I have to see him. I have to feel him, which you will see him and feel him when you do get to know him, but you have to get to know him first. Those things don't come first. It's like when you're in a relationship with your spouse or your parents or whomever you have a really good, loving relationship with. You didn't just automatically learn to trust them, right? It was through their character that you learned to trust them. It was through what they showed up for you to do that you learned to trust them. It was through your constant connection, your constant talks, the constant moments you guys kept coming together that grew that relationship, right? And it's the same thing with God. God is always near us. And once you start to hear him speak, you will start to see him. You will start to feel him. He will start to show up in your life. And before you didn't really even know how you had that, or where it was come from. You would look for him because you're looking for a physical form. However, unfortunately, he don't come in a physical form, but you will feel him. You will see him. You will start to see your life change. You will start to see how the way you show up change. You will start to see how the way you talk to people, your connection, your relationships. You will start to see doors being open. You will start to see opportunities show up, because that's how he shows himself up, right? And in the end, when you go through those things, you start to give him praise. You start to give him glory, because that's all he's asking for. That's how you keep a relationship with God, and any humans, honestly. The more I've realized that I started to praise people for just existing and how they chose to love and how they chose to walk, how they chose to make choices, and I didn't judge and I didn't say anything, the more they were receptive to come and tell me things. And I do this a lot with oh my goodness, I do this a lot. These are so cute. This is a perfect like test and trial error that I get to learn through kids. So I'm a preschool teacher, side note. And the amount of times that they get so excited to come tell me something, any little thing, they will come tell me, they will come show me, because it's the enthusiasm that I have for them. It's the love that I have for them on top of just the care that I have for them, right? Because all I ever want to see them do is excel. And mind you, I have like 20 of them little critters, right? And so they'll come, something as simple. Look, I went from, and this is a true testimony, oh my goodness. And it's just not me by myself, it's another teacher that we get to both share this and journey with, because we are both like-minded. We both want to see them grow. We both want to just see them be loved on and nourished, and we just love them, right? So we went from like 2 kids being potty trained to like 9, simply because I've learned to change how I talk to them. This is just me still learning and growing through the process, right? But I learned how to talk to them. And when I was learning to give them praise for things that they did, they would just come to me. So it's like literally a thing where every time they go potty, they come back, they're like full of energy. Honestly, sometimes they don't even pick their pants up because they're just so excited to come tell me that they went to go pee in a potty. And we, like, as a whole group, we just be like, what? And I just like literally will like, say a name. I'm just gonna give a random name, not a real name, but I'm just gonna say a name. But like, Emma pee in a potty. And like, we'll do this whole like, yay, Emma pee in a potty. And they love that. And so then when another little kid that's learning, and this is how it took us times, like when another kid started learning, and we would just see that their diapers dry, so we're like, all right, let's give it a go, right? Let's try them, let's sit them down. And then they would pee in a potty, and we would, like I said, it was an announcement, it was something we did, and we just started to like, yay, they pee in a potty. And then, now every time, even when they know how to pee in a potty, they'll still come and they'll be like, I pee in a potty, I pee in a potty. And then we're just like we're just full of like excitement for them, right? And it's not like performative. It feels performative, but it's not in a way that I'm just doing it just so that they can. It's really off of like, you're doing something that you're excelling in, something that you're already intended to excel in. But me getting to watch you excel through it, I just want to give you praise for it, right? I just want to love you through that. And that's the same relationship that we have with God. And that's why it's so important that we stay as a child, because the more that we as humans get this connection, this love, this joy, this peace, we can continue to push forward. The moments that I was stuck for, like I said, those 15 years that I was in deep darkness was because I was stagnant. I wasn't praising God. I wasn't showing up for God. I didn't give my life to God. Did I know of him? Yes. Did I sit there and, like I said, I would still in the shower cry, and I'd be like, God, I know this is for you. I don't know. All I ever knew was the verse of, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's all I did. But guess what? I still did most of the things through my own understanding. I tried to do things in my own way and how I saw it compared to other people, and then I would try to implement it in my life, and it didn't work out for me. But the moment I started to give God praise, the moment as of now, even now with my relationship, the moment I started to give God praise, things started showing up. And it's just gotten so much better. And I've gotten so much peace. Sometimes even now, and this is how also fear keeps us in this loop to think that we have to feel, we have to suffer, we have to be doubtful, we have to worry, we have to have certainty. He doesn't call us to be certain, he calls us to be uncertain. That's where he meets us. And when we're going through those moments of when we finally let it go, we surrendered it, and we've learned that we can trust God through this. Sometimes I find myself, and I'll be honest with you, searching for the fear. I'm searching for the worriness. I'm creating it in my mind. I've learned, thankfully, more recently to it's okay, to be it's okay if you don't have the fear, right? But because before my default mode was to have fear, that's all I ever knew. So anytime that I felt fearful, I'm like, okay, I'm doing the right thing by staying stuck here. Until I realized, no, I have the peace of God in me. Why do I have to fear? Why do I have to lay in bed and curl myself up? Sorry if I hit you. Curl myself up, have these anxious thoughts, these racing thoughts. Why? I can move forward with my life. Okay, yes, this thing happened to me. But guess what? It's not for me to sit here and handle. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Guess what I will do? I will show up for where I have to show up, which is building my ministry, which is taking care of toddlers, which is showing up for my daughter, showing up still as a wife. I have to still show up for the things God gave me. Because at one point I prayed for them. At one point I asked for them. At one point, this was what I wanted. I have to show up for my house. I have to still make sure that food is being made, right? Because this is where, when the enemy sees that we're no longer reacting, he gets like, yo, I used to have you trapped. I used to have you in these moments. I used to have you. And now you're just like, I don't care. Not because you don't care, right? Because we don't have to get nonchalant. That's totally different. It's because you just genuinely know that God is going to take care of you. You genuinely know as sons and daughters that you're going to be okay, despite of the outcome, despite of what happens, right? And when you are standing still, when you are in a battlefield, when you are going through something, you learn that it's okay. It's not up to you to react or respond. It will all work out in its due time. So here, you can, if you take out a pen and pencil, or you can write it in the comment section, I will give you some sentences you can finish, right? So I'm going to read off my notes. My first sentence is, I became afraid that God will blank when I will blank. For me, I will say, I became afraid that God will leave me when I let go. Why? Because I thought if I held on, he was going to take care of, he was going to help me take care of it. No, it's when we let go that he will come draw closer to us, because that thing is no longer in our pedestal. We don't pedestalize it anymore. Same thing I did with my marriage. I stopped pedestalizing it. I put God on top, and then God will come through my relationship and he will be in it. It's not for us to just put God and then everything else will fall under. No, God is still going to be in the center of everything, whether it's my marriage, my family, my finances, my career. God is in the midst of everything. It's just he comes first and then everything else will follow, right? Second sentence is, I may have learned this belief from blank. For me, is I may have learned this belief from my family. Growing up, I never saw them worship. I never saw them praise. I never saw them open the Bible. But I did see them lay in darkness, huddled up, probably crying, probably stressed out, probably just sleeping it away, right? Turning to drugs, turning to whatever to block the noise. Third sentence is, when I look at Jesus, I see blank. And for me, it's when I look at Jesus, I see peace. When I look at Jesus, I see love. When I look at Jesus, I see calm. And the fourth one is, the truth I want to practice is blank. My situation at this very moment is, the truth I want to practice is obedience. Being obedient. Despite of what's going on, despite of what might be arising, I still want to be obedient. I still want to get up out of bed. I still want to show up for God. I still want to show up for my family. I still want to show up for the things that he's given me, because that's what I get to choose. I get to choose that. I get to choose to put my energy towards that. And I will, and I am, right? And so my whole core takeaway for this message is that you unlearn fear-based faith doesn't mean you take God less seriously. It means trusting his character more deeply. I know I gave you a lot, and I hope that through all this, a light bulb shows up. I hope that you really genuinely learn something. And if you haven't kept up with these videos, this is your first video you watched, go watch those other videos. I promise you, it will all come together. This is the end of the series. It was a 4-video series. I just really hope that you learn to have a loving relationship with God versus a fear-based relationship. With that being said, I do want to end you off with, I do have a devotional, a free devotional in the description. And then my book is also in the description if you want to purchase that, of course. If you want to get deeper, if you want to know more, if you want to learn how to walk with him. And in that, before you go, I do want to share something with you guys, because oh my goodness, I've elevated this whole thing. I just started the journey to get my bachelor's degree in ministry. Okay, in Bible study. I'm working towards that, okay? This is my first semester. I look so forward to it because I'm so excited to just learn and grow and be able to show more people and tell more people of the good news. So pray for me as I go through this journey, that I just continue to press on and not give up and have the hope and the love that God only can give us. And so with that being said, I love you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.